Welcome to UNP Learning Platform. In this session of Microsoft Excel, we are going to understand the concept of data validation in Microsoft Excel. First of all, let us know what exactly data validation is. Data validation allows us to control the type of data entered in the worksheet. We can validate different types of data such as whole number, decimal, list, date, time, and text length, that is, length of the text. We can also create error messages and input messages during this process. Let's start with whole number. In here, I want to specify the range of whole numbers to be entered here. In order to do this, I need to specify the range between one number to other number. We can specify it in the data validation table. Data validation table is available in the data tab, and here is the option of data validation. First, we need to select the range of cells in which we will enter the numbers and click on data validation, and a data validation table appears. In here we have the option to select the criteria under which we want to validate the data. We want it for whole numbers, so I will click on this option, and I want to specify the range from 1 to 5 and click on OK. Let's check here by entering the number which is not there in this range. 1, 2, 3, 6, and yeah. So when I click number 6, this value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined for this cell. Here we have mentioned the range from 1 to 5, but I entered 6, which is not there in the range. So it will give this error message. So we need to cross it and only enter the numbers which are there in the range. So this is how we can validate data using whole numbers. Now let's move on to the decimal. We can follow the same steps to specify the range for decimal numbers as well. First, we need to select the range of cells, click on data validation. A data validation table appears. We need to select the criteria. Now we want to give the range of decimals. So I want the decimal numbers to be from 0.1 till 0.5. I will click on OK. And now I will try to give the numbers 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 and 0.7. And since 0.7 value is not there in the range specified by me, this is the error message that we will get. So I will now enter the data that is specified in the range. And here it works like this. Now let's move on to the next step, that is list. First, we need to select the cells in which we wanted to specify the list and click on data validation option. Data validation table again appears. Now our criteria is list. So we need to mention the names that we wanted to include in the list. Let's say I want to give a list of countries: India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, China, and America. So the names I have given are these names to be entered in my list. I'll click on OK. Now here is a drop down that appears with all the list elements that I've just specified. So we can just select any one from here. And if we try to write a name which is not there in the list, it will not be entered. Let's say I will enter Japan. I have not specified it in the list. I'll click on enter. So this value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined for this cell. Since I did not give this value in the list, it is showing this error. So we can just select the names that we have given from the list. Now let us try to enter the elements in a specified range for date. Now I'll select the range, click on data validation, The table appears. I will select the criteria as date, and I will give the start date as 10 10 2023, and the end date would be 15 10 2023. Click on OK. I'll give 10 10 2023 and 11 10 2023. Now I will give an date which is not there in the specified range, which is 17 10 2023. Yeah, it gives an error saying that this data, I mean the date is not given in the list, so it will not enter the date. So we can just include the elements that are specified in the range only. Now let's move on to time. Again the same procedure, select the cells, click on data validation, the table appears, select the criteria as time, and start time is 10 10 and the end time is 15 10. Click on OK. So I will give the time as 10 10. I'll enter the number which is not there in the list, that is 19 10. Yeah, this value doesn't match. That is, you can consider it as either minute or second or hour or minute, anything. Okay. Now let's move on to the next criteria, that is text length. I'll select the rows or cells and click on data validation and click on the criteria, that is text length. I want my length to be from 1 to 4 and click on OK. So I will write something as A B C A A D, and here A B C D. Since I have not specified the length to be 5, it will not enter this value. So in this way we can validate our data. Why data validation is used is when we have a larger data to work on, we can easily validate the data in such cases. In here, we can also include error messages or input messages. And if we want to include the error messages or input messages, we can do it using the same table. That is, select the range or even single cell and click on data validation. Here we have the option as error alert. Here we have three options. That is, whenever the pop-up appears, the symbol would be either cross for stop, warning, and information. For now, I will put as stop, and the title of the error would be disclaimer. Let's say I will give the title as disclaimer, and the error message is kindly enter valid and click on OK. So whenever there is an invalid data that is entered, that is being entered here, it gives the error. For now, we first, in order to get the error, we first need to enter some data. So let's say I wanted to enter the whole numbers from, I'll select the number as whole number from the range 1 to 3 and click on OK. So here I will enter 1, 2 and 5. So I am getting an error messages which I've just created. The title of my error message is disclaimer and the information that should be shown is kindly enter valid input. So in this way we can create the error messages whenever invalid input is given. And now we can also create input messages. So let's select these cells, click on data validation. So whenever the user is inputting some data, then he can get a pop-up stating the information of the message that he needs to enter. So we have the option as input message. The title is information. I'll just say the title would be information. And the input message is please enter the whole numbers. This is a very basic information just for example, and click on OK. So whenever the user wants to input the data, in order to be clear for the user to enter the type of data, we can use this input messages as a pop-up here. So whenever I'm inputting data, I'll get a pop-up like this. Please enter the whole numbers, so that I can understand as I should enter only whole numbers for this. This is all about today's lecture. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.